stopper with great skill from him. Doing the Mo Salah! Raheem Sterling! What a finish! What pure class from the Englishman!
Premier Talk, the English Premier League podcast for the fans.
Hello and welcome back to the Premier Talk podcast. This is season 4, episode 4. Back with another one. Danny B is my co-host on this one. I'm Andrew Melo. Daniel, let's kick it off. First of all, wait, before we get into the starting lineup, Daniel, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. You know what? Gotta love dressing up. As we're very dressed up currently. We're pedestrians, as you can see. I love Halloween.
You love it, eh? You like handing out candy, or you like going to get candy better?
No, I like when I was a child, I like getting candy. Now it's just fun just to dress up and go to parties and do nothing, you know.
But Daniel, before we get into it, best Halloween movie of all time.
Ooh.
Or series, whatever one.
I don't even know. What's the one where Hocus Pocus is a good little family movie? That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not there's a bunch of good ones. I don't really know off the top of my head what my favorite one is. Obviously, what are you thinking? Because
I'm thinking the Michael Myers series.
Okay,
Friday
yeah,
the
this is
13th.
the ones.
Yeah,
Those
Friday
are
the
ones,
13th, yeah. So, okay, let's get into it, Daniel. Starting lineup for this week.
Starting lineup, we have only 2 segments here. We got storylines of the week.
And then we have the European catch-ups. We're going to dive into UCL, UEL, and a little bit of the Conference League even. Daniel, start us off.
Storylines of the week. Spooky storylines, because it's Halloween. Why not? First spooky storyline. We got Brighton versus Chelsea. And this is about as spooky as it gets.
This is pretty scary.
Andrew, why don't you pick us off these Blues getting absolutely hammered by Brighton?
Yeah, this was not a good one for Chelsea. Started off very poor for Chelsea. Thiago Silva gave a bad ball away right in his own defensive third. It led to none other than Leandro Trossard, netting a goal. And then it just got even worse for Chelsea. So just following that, there was a corner kick taken by Brighton, and RLC Ruben Loftus-Cheek deflected it into his own goal. So it was 2-0 early on in this one. And then it got even worse, another own goal. So it was 3-0. This was a little cross back from Stupian that hit the leg of Chalova and went into the net as he slid for the ball trying to cut it. He pushed into his own net. And then Chelsea finally got on the score sheet as well. It was a lovely ball in from Gallagher into the 6-yard box, and Havertz met it there, and there's a lovely header to make it 3-1. But Chelsea never looked like they were going to get back into this one. Brighton had decent control. I felt like Chelsea was lacking a lot in the middle of the park. That I didn't really like the pairing of Kovacic and RLC. I didn't really like it. I thought they were lacking someone that could slow the game down and control possession, and that was Jorginho, but he didn't even make an appearance in this one, unfortunately. And then later on in the game, another sloppy giveaway pass in the back led to a shot on goal that was deflected, and then Pascal Gross, the German, he was playing fullback on this day. He came up, and very versatile player, could play anywhere almost, and he netted the final goal. That was his 50th goal involvement. He's got 29 assists and 21 goals. Lovely little stat there from the German player, a player that came for free. So they did some really good business from joining on a free from Ingolstadt a couple of years ago. But Daniel, what really was, concerning for me was the squad selection on this day. I know that Graham Potter's missing some key players, but Pulisic has been so bad. He was really bad in this one. He missed a big chance. I just felt like utilizing Pulisic as a wing back was not ideal. Same thing with Cucurella being a left center back, because they play the 3-back. They don't have enough center backs right now, so they play Cucurella instead. They're missing Aspie. Aspie was on the bench. He never utilized him. So I think that was another, questionable decision from the manager. And also just credit to Sanchez, the goalkeeper for Brighton. He was fantastic. He's really evolved his game over the last 12 matches or so. He's been very solid for the team this season. He's been an integral part for Brighton this season as well. And he made some fantastic stops against Gallagher on 2 occasions that I can remember. And he was really important for Brighton on this day. So
Mhm.
I know it was a great performance from Brighton, but also I think there was a lack of control and just very poor in defensive and situational defending from Chelsea. Just very poor.
One thing I wanted to touch upon was just the lineup. I know, like you said, Graham Potter seemed to have chose guys that he felt would be best against his former team, knowing the way that they play.
Yeah,
But it doesn't look like it worked out in his favor at all, especially like you said, like Kukurea playing left center back to me is just terrible.
yeah.
Like what? Like he's not the best he's an attacking fullback. He's not the best defensively. So why go and throw him in a position where he doesn't go forward and he has to just sit back and defend?
If anything, just
I
adapt the formation a little bit. You know, I know he's stuck to playing
Yeah.
a three back with this team, but you gotta evolve a little bit sometimes,
Mhm.
depending on who's available, who you're playing against, different factors, right? To who's in form. So I think that maybe it could have been better to adjust to a four back in this situation.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think it's a little bit of poor management and just a lack of uh dominance from certain players in the field. Just poor efforts out there.
Yeah, and like you said, Robert Sanchez was unreal in this one. He had
Agreed.
some massive saves, some very crucial ones too. Early in the game when it was only 1-0 or even 2-0, he made a couple of really big saves that really paid out in the end for this Brighton squad.
Yeah.
And my biggest takeaway and the funniest thing I found from this game is that the Brighton fans were singing "You're getting sacked in the morning" to Graham Potter during the game, and I found that absolutely hilarious. I was dying. The whole second half of this game when they were just singing "You're getting sacked in the morning," I was dying. It was so funny.
It's a good bit of banter just because of the
It
fact
is.
that he left them for Chelsea and then now they're giving Chelsea a 4-1 slap. So it's kind of funny. And for Graham Potter, it's definitely one you would have loved to have gone against your former team,
Yeah.
to show them that you're a little bit better off. But Dino, nonetheless, let's get into our next storyline of the week. That is Liverpool and Leeds, Dino, big one.
Liverpool and Leeds, our second very, very spooky storyline. Let's talk about spooky. VVD takes his first loss at Anfield in 70 games as Leeds go and beat Liverpool 2-1. This game kicked off really early. 4 minutes in, Joe Gomez makes a great defensive play against, I believe it was Jack Harrison, and he doesn't take his head up. He was on the touchline on the at the top of your screen on the right hand side, and he doesn't put his head up. He goes to make a pass back to Allison, but Allison at this point came out of his net to check in. Joe Gomez thought he was standing in his net, so Joe Gomez rifles a pass right at the net. Allison takes a little tumble, a little slip, but that wasn't his fault at all. There was no way he was going to get there anyways. And Rodrigo walks the ball into the net. Easiest goal he'll score in his life. 4 minutes in, Leeds was up 1-0. Everyone's like, oh no, this is going to be terrible. 10 minutes later, Liverpool equalized. A Salah tap in off a back post cross from Robertson. He was left unmarked. And he shows what happens when you leave a man like Salah, who has way too many goals to the Liverpool side unmarked back post.
Mhm.
And then 5 minutes after that, I was watching this game. I thought Leeds had this chance. It was a massive chance to go up to 1 5 minutes after Liverpool equalized. And I don't even remember, I think it was Harrison again, ring the ball off the crossbar. It was a wild chance, and I probably should have scored, but then again, it was still a fantastic volley. It was a cross volley that Alexander Arnold just didn't feel like marking Harrison running into the box, which is nothing new from Alexander Arnold because he doesn't like defending. But he got there just in time, I guess, if you want to say anything, because he kind of put him off just slightly, and he rang a ball off the crossbar. And after that was basically their biggest chance of the day for Leeds where they hadn't scored. The result stayed 1-1 until the 89th minute, where Somerville beat Allison with a quick touch and a strike, literally just around VVD. For me, VVD didn't do enough in this situation. He kind of just sat there, the ball bounced around in the box. It was Trossard tried to take a touch. Sorry, not Trossard. Who was it up top? I don't even know who it was. He took a touch. It was Harrison. Harrison was all over the place in this game, and so was Rodrigo. It was either Harrison or Rodrigo in the box tried to take a touch, and it lobbed up in the air, and then it was controlled by Somerville, touched it down to his left foot, and just kind of like gave like a little toe poke back post. And since he did it so quick, it beat Allison because I don't even think he was expecting it. Although Allison did get a touch, that ended Liverpool and ended VVD's home streak. 2-1 Leeds won this one. Melier, got to talk about him because he had such a great match. He was all over the place. he robbed Darwin Núñez twice. Like just the first time Darwin Núñez just came in, he robbed him like outside the box. A perfect like Photo West save where he reaches over with his right hand, tips it over the bar as it's going into the top shelf. It's a wild save. He made a couple of big ones here, and Leeds won this one 2-1.
Now, this is just like the definition of inconsistency. Synonym for inconsistency is Liverpool. They've been so shocking, and then they'll get a great result, like they did against City, and then they'll go and give points back to the poor in Nottingham, and then they do it again here with Leeds. Yeah. So that's been a commonality this year. It's been a common theme with this team. You see Liverpool have a fantastic result, whether it's in the UCL or even domestically, and then the next week they're in shambles. It's so weird. It's so weird to see. You never could go into a game betting on Liverpool anymore. You can never count on them to be as dominant as they were last season. I don't know what it is about this team. I don't know if it's a lack of passion. There's things going on behind the scenes. They had some key injuries. But even so, they've had that last year and they were able to manage quite well. So I don't know what it is this year. I don't know what it is. Maybe a lack of motivation. It's very difficult to pinpoint, but it looks like sometimes they don't want to play even on the field. Like we mentioned, like Trent all the time, right? And guys like Robertson who have been so dominant in the past, they're getting beat in these 1v1 situations. Like a guy like Van Dijk as well. So and on top of that, they're not scoring goals as they used to. There's no fluidity as there was previous years with Mane and Salah and Firmino. I feel like there's a little bit of disconnect between Darwin and Salah. So there's a lot of things to fix, and I know it's a long season and you can't cut them out yet, but if we're approaching November and then maybe Christmas time and they're still sitting in this 9th place or 10th place or 8th place, it's not going to be good with the Liverpool fans and the players as well.
Yeah, look, some people, we've already talked about this too, where some people already want Klopp out. There's Liverpool fans that want Klopp out. I don't think he deserves that at all based on everything he's done for this club. Look, to be completely honest with you, this is the worst team he's managed. This is the worst Liverpool squad he's managed, realistically, ever.
Not on paper, but
just like the way that they've played has been terrible.
Yeah.
And in order for fans to want him out, I think it's just too quick. I still think you need to give him so much time for him to adapt to players like Núñez, for him to adapt without Sadio Mane. They've had littered injuries. This whole squad has been torn apart with injuries. So look, there's a lot that's not going right now for Liverpool. I still think this is just a slump. They'll come out of it. I think they're too deep now for them to challenge for the title. They need to go on an insane streak right now. Currently, they sit 9th. They're 4 wins, 4 losses.
If they don't make UCL, they're in shambles, man. Liverpool not being in the UCL is huge. It's huge. So
right now, I think that's what their goal is. Like their goal isn't to win the league anymore. I think they're past that. It's to get into the UCL.
Yeah.
4-4-4 just doesn't cut it. It doesn't.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Daniel, let's segue now into Arsenal and Nottingham. This was an insane result for AFC. They were just really good. They were really good in transition. The transition play from the side was amazing. The ability to build up from their own half and quickly switch over to the offensive third and generate opportunities was something that impressed me about this team. Something that they weren't able to do in previous years. And I think that on this day against Nottingham, Partey dominated. He absolutely dominated. And 7 recoveries I think he had throughout the game. Just his ability to stretch the play. There was the second goal. He found Xhaka in the final third from a lovely stretch pass. But at times it just looked like Nottingham was just inferior. You could see the difference in quality, the difference in hunger on the field. There was times where Arsenal found themselves inside the box, and there was a multitude of Nottingham Forest defenders, but Arsenal always seemed to get their foot on the ball or challenge for contest, across. They always looked to be first to the ball, and I think that Nottingham just wasn't hungry enough defensively, because they had numbers. They had numbers on several occasions, but they still conceded. So I think that Arsenal would just really wants it this year. There's something about this team that's inspiring, something that you can see. They're playing with confidence really, and they just rolled over Nottingham. They absolutely destroyed them.
There's something touchy I want to touch upon in the world of football.
Hmm.
This is first going up against 20th. Okay. Happens every year. There's always a first, there's always a 20th. And most of the time, it's a very similar result. You get first winning the game, but it's close. Simply because 20th, which in this case is Nottingham, they sit back. And they sit back and they absorb pressure. And they clear the ball and they do defensive duties that need to be done. Nottingham did not play this game defensively at all. They were found on so many odd number of rushes that it was just insane to me. Like they were playing like they were a mid-table team playing another mid-table team. Like they weren't playing like they were playing the leaders of the Premier League. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like I hate when teams go and park the bus where they sit 11 behind. But this was the complete opposite. Nottingham Forest was throwing their fullbacks forward.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand the game management in this. I do not want to see Nottingham sit 11 guys behind the ball, but at the same time they have to realize that they're not playing a crap team. This
Yeah.
Arsenal side has been playing with so much swagger this year, and like you said, the most amount of confidence I've seen from this side in a long time.
Hmm.
And in order for you to go into a game thinking that you can attack this team when you're looking at Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, and Gabriel Jesus up top, good luck.
Yeah, he's just had 2 assists in this one. He was pretty productive defensively, not in terms of scoring goals, but definitely helping lead his team. And Saka as well had a lovely cross into the box, an early cross that led to a goal. I just think that they're playing the game as simple as they can. There's no time really when you say, "Oh, he's playing for himself. He's playing individual soccer or football, whatever you want to call it." In previous years with Arsenal, I've seen on several occasions
Too many
there's
occasions.
too much individual play, too much ego, especially when Alba was there, Laka was there. It was too predictable. Now they're playing with a system where you could see they love to have possession. They love to transition quickly with speed down the flanks with their using their quick wide players in Martinelli and Saka. And it's working. It's working really well. And it was nice also to see Reece Nelson, who was on loan at Fenrud last year, who had a great campaign with Fenrud. He's been given a chance in this one, and he didn't make any mistake of it, getting this opportunity. He scored 2 goals. One was a rebound that off of his own rebound. The second goal was quite nice as well. But it's good to see that Arteta's able to rotate his team. He's got a good number of young wingers, wide players that are having success in this with this style of play. So I really like it.
I completely agree.
Daniel, next segment, European catch-up. So we're gonna talk about UCL, Europa League, and Conference League. We're just gonna run through some of the results and where the teams kind of stand at this point.
Yeah, so kicking us off, Champions League, we might as well just pick up where we currently just left off. Liverpool, they've already qualified for the knockout stage. They've been pretty good in Champions League. I believe their only loss was a big loss to Napoli.
Yeah, it was the first
Napoli
game.
Yeah, it was the first game. It was 4-0 Napoli. And in order for them to win their group, they need to smash Napoli because they took such a heavy loss. I think they're like Napoli is a +10 goal differential and Liverpool is a +6. So with the 3 points, Liverpool would even them on points, and then they would just need to try to just beat them in plus minus, which they need a lot of goals to do so. So in order for Liverpool to top their group, they need a massive win at Napoli on the last day.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good matchup.
It will.
Considering the results first time around, Liverpool really need to get a win. Even if they don't come first, that doesn't matter. They need to just win. For the sake of their team and just for the sake of the next matches here within this month just before we kick off to the World Cup, because they don't want to finish on a negative note after they've dropped so many points. They need to finish the last three games or so on a high. So they really need to get this win.
I know this is off topic, kind of on topic, but off topic based on Liverpool. This one kid I just want to point out on Napoli. You know who I'm going to talk about?
Kvaratskhelia, yeah.
He is gross.
Yeah. He's going to be
He's
gone
a
next year. He's not an Napoli
phenomenal
next year.
talent.
Him and Victor Osman have been a formidable duo this year. They've been really giving teams difficulties, and they're playing well together, playing very well together. This is a
That
guy
guy's
that was
nasty.
this was a guy that was just playing in Georgia a couple of years ago, the Georgian Premier League. He was also had a stint in Russia, but due to the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict, he left. So he's most recently in, I think, Georgia, and then he switched over from Georgia to where he's from, to Napoli. So fantastic player there, and maybe he'll end up in the Prem one day. So
That's what I'm thinking. I know there's already reports saying that like teams like City and Liverpool are interested in him.
He would do well at City. It's to replace a guy like Mahrez.
Gross, man.
Yeah, to
He's
replace
so
Mahrez.
nasty. Anyways, sorry, I just had to get that off.
Daniel, next PL team in the UCL we want to talk about is Spurs. They had their last game against Sporting. It was a game at home, Sporting CP. It was one where Sporting got on the score sheet first. Marcus Edwards scored, their former academy player that they sold to Guimarães, who now is playing for Sporting. He netted a fantastic goal, and then Tottenham was able to get one back to equalize it. And then in the 90th minute stoppage time, the last minute of the game, Harry Kane scored a header. Or he didn't score a header, but he scored in the box off of a header from Emerson. It was Emerson that assisted it. And then there's this whole confusion. They're going crazy in the corner. Conte was going crazy because they had scored, and it was a vital 3 points for them to separate them from Sporting, which is it's a very complicated group. Anyone could go through, even the 14 the last match day. So it was vital for them to get the 3 points, but then overturned by VAR. He was offside. It's clearly,
Conte got sent off.
Yeah, Conte got sent off. He was pissed off. He was yelling and swearing at the referee. So he's not going to be present the next game. And I think it was just another failed opportunity for Spurs to really distance themselves in this group and to make sure that they get out. But now going to the last match day, who knows? Sporting's going to play Frankfurt, and then Tottenham's going to play Marseille. And that's a away game as well for Spurs. So it's going to be in France. It's not going to be an easy one. And who knows? The way they've been playing in UCL, anything can happen.
This is a wild group to look out on the last day. Tottenham has 8 points, Sporting has 7, Frankfurt has 7, and Marseille has 6.
Yeah.
It's literally 3 and 4 in this group can go in the final day. It's so wild.
It's insane, yeah. It's really insane.
This is gonna be a wild one to watch on tomorrow. Tomorrow's in these games. No, hang on. Are these games tomorrow or the day after? They're tomorrow. Wow. Yeah, tomorrow. It's wild.
So Daniel, next team, we're sticking with the London team here. Chelsea, they've qualified for the UCL knockouts. They didn't start this campaign off though very well. They lost against Zagreb, but fortunately enough for them, they've got 2 back-to-back massive wins against Milan in the last couple of games. So very important from Chelsea. They won against Zagreb the other day too, in the second stint of that. So they've really turned it around considering they lost away in Croatia. And it's very important for them to get through and finish first in this group. They have to finish first. There's no excuse for them.
I completely agree.
So Chelsea, they've done their job and turned it around in UCL, which I've been happy with, considering the change of manager and without some key guys. So,
and then the last team is City. I think like everybody expected, they are qualified for the knockout stage. They finished first in their group. They beat Dortmund and then tied Dortmund, and those 4 points were good enough to lead them to top of the group. Dortmund currently sits second, and they also qualified, so that group is done already. Yeah,
Daniel, out of these teams, considering if Chelsea are able to make it through, or not Chelsea, if Tottenham are able to make it through, who do you have as your favorite from these PL teams to win the Champions League this year?
I don't even think this is a question. I think City. Just like Haaland is a game changer for them. I know they have the whole City curse and like how City can never do it on the biggest stage. But for me, this year, this team feels different. They don't feel different as a City team, but they feel different because they can beat you in so many ways now. I think Kevin De Bruyne is showing that he's the best midfielder in the world this year. And I think it's easier for him to do that than it's ever been, because you need to put the ball anywhere in Haaland's area and he scores.
Yeah.
So like he's just been incredible. And then even when last game Haaland didn't even play and De Bruyne got on the goal scoring tally that game too. Like he's so versatile. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the world. And I think it's showing, and I think City will finally get over that hump, go on to win this Champions League if they're not kicked out by the likes of one of two teams, Bayern or PSG.
Yeah, no, if I'm any team that's qualified for the Champions League already, I don't want to be anywhere near Manchester City. I don't want to be anywhere near that team because they are so deep. Like we always say, they're so dominant, and then the firepower that they have is just unmatched. It's unmatched,
Yeah.
and you pair that with a winning manager. I think this will be their year to do it. I honestly really do think it'll be their year to do it. And if they somehow manage to fail, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be very ugly
It
for
will.
City, considering that they are the heavy favorites, and their firepower is just insane that they have in their team.
Mhm.
Daniel, let's switch over to the Europa League here very quickly. Two teams in the Europa League that are from England. So obviously Manchester United and Arsenal. Manchester United, their last one, they played Sheriff. It was a 3-0 win for United. Rashford got on the score sheet. Additionally, Cristiano Ronaldo got back on the score sheet.
Yep.
A really, really big win for United. It was really big for Ronaldo as well. I never seen him so frustrated in a game in a while. And he looked very frustrated in all the chances he was missing. He really needed to score. He really wanted to score. He finally got his goal, and it was a big relief for him. And another takeaway from this game, I really like Garnacho, the young Argentinian player. I thought he was very good in this one,
Mhm.
very
He was.
mobile, played the game the right way, and I thought he was something positive for United on this day.
Yeah, I completely agree. Look, their only loss in this group has been against Sociedad on the first day, and now it comes they go back to Sociedad to play. They need to take 3 points, and it needs to be a big 3 points because Sociedad's plus, I think they said like +10 currently, and or +9, and United says +6. So they need to at least score 3 goals at Sociedad. If they can pull it off, it'll definitely mean a lot. Just simply because, like, if you look at the talent in Europa League, all the top teams in Europa League are going to be teams that are one of two teams that are finishing first in their group stage, or teams that are dropping from Champions League. And if you look at some of the teams that are dropping from Champions League, such as the likes of Barca dropping to Champions League, Atletico Madrid dropping to Champions League. You don't
Juventus.
know, Juve's dropping to Champions League, Sevilla's dropping to Champions League. Like, these are some teams that usually like have chances to go deep into Champions League. Sorry, I said they dropped to Champions League. I meant dropping to Europa League. My apologies. Those teams are all dropping to Europa League. Like, those teams usually compete in Champions League,
Yeah.
and they usually go deep in Champions League. So to have likes of Barcelona, Juve, Sevilla, Atletico dropping down into Europa League it's going to change this competition completely. And you know what? I even feel like this competition, although those teams have been poor, this competition is going to be a lot bigger this year
Better,
than
yeah.
it normally is.
Yeah. I
Just
agree.
bigger names, bigger teams, more money, more everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So look, hopefully United pulls this one off and wins their group, so they don't need to face the likes of Barcelona or somebody dropping from Champions League.
Mhm.
But that's what you got to hope for. You got to hope they don't finish second in this group, and then they get a really tough matchup in the round of 32.
Daniel, very quickly about Arsenal. Arsenal lost their last game, the Europa League, to PSV. But I don't think it's that bad of a loss as people were taking it. I think that Arsenal they're so focused on the Prem this year, so determined to not drop points in the Prem. The squad selection hasn't been always fielding the best players for Arsenal in the Europa League. I think that's pretty fair to say. And with that, you're not going to get the best results all the time. But even so, they're going to make it through, obviously, to the next round. Who are they playing against? Zurich next match. They just
Zurich,
need to
yeah.
win. Yeah, they need to win. And if they win and PSV drop points, I think that
Or PSV, yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah. So they'll finish first. They're gonna make it through, Daniel, at the end of the day, and
They will.
they did succeed in their objective, and that was to make it out of the groups. Now they got to go on a deep run and possibly win it. That'd be huge for the club if they're able to go deep in this competition. It's going to be tougher on them in the Prem, so it's a catch-22. You do well in the Europa League, it's going to add some more games, obviously, and late into the
More
season,
injuries
and
later,
whatnot. But we can't predict what's going to happen. Just the fact that the World Cup's going to come around, that's going to disrupt the entire league, the entire season. So certain players are going to get long extended breaks, whereas others are not. It's really going to be, a first time thing. We never seen this ever. So who knows what the outcome is going to be come springtime, with
Mhm.
regards to who's going to win the Prem, who's going to win the UCL, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just looking, there's 20 days left, or yeah, 20 days left, 19 and a half days left until World Cup starts.
Mhm.
And I cannot be happier about the World Cup because it's going to change like leagues. It's going to change players. Players are going to go off injured, which like obviously you don't want to see, but just like it's a part of the game when you're playing extra games right in the middle of your season.
Mhm.
And the whole back half of every domestic league is just going to be so wild based on team selection, based on how confident teams are coming out of the World Cup, based off players that aren't in the World Cup that have a month to just go train and get better themselves. Like it's just going to be so wild. It's going to be such a different atmosphere that I don't think we've seen in a very, very long time with a Winter World Cup.
Very true. Daniel, last but not least, West Ham. West Ham have been cruising in the Conference League, one tier lower than the Europa League, obviously. They're the only English team that's in the competition this year. They went quite far last year, but they just fell short in the semifinals. It was something that I feel like they could have won. It would have been great
Mhm.
for the club. Would have meant a lot to the club, the London-based club. But this year they're really down to business. They're 5-0, 15 points, top of their group. They won their last game 1-0 against Silverborg. So they're doing what they got to do this year. And they got a talented team. I think more than talented enough to win the Conference League. And I peg them as my favorites this year for sure.
Yep, I completely agree. Everything you said was facts.
Yeah, true facts. True facts.
True facts.
Daniel,
True facts.
that about wraps it up for this episode 4, season 4. Happy Halloween again to all you listeners. Oh, Daniel, I just took in you were wearing a mask the entire thing.
Oh, how did you just saw that right now?
Nah, that was a corny joke. That was a corny joke.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thanks for listening, guys. Daniel, all platforms, right? How does it go?
All platforms, yeah. See, he knows. He's getting used to it. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you want to listen. We're there. We appreciate you as always. If you want to see our faces, you want to know what we look like, watch us on YouTube. We're there as well. We appreciate you guys as always. And thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week. See you guys.
Ciao.